Welcome to the GDevelop 5 game development stream, and in this video we are going to be making the front end in our game, and that front end will be used to communicate with our server. So let me open my game. So this is the game which we are working on, and we have the main menu, but I guess it's kind of we have not I have to change this, I guess. So I will just delete this one, and then I will just copy duplicate this and name it start and drag it and drop here. I will change the Z order to 10. Yep, 10 works. So there it is. So yeah, that's good. And well, this is the version of our game which will have networking capabilities. We made a separate version of our game which was a standalone version which did not have any networking capabilities, and so it did not have this leaderboard button either, right? So that's the difference so far. But today we will be making a few more scenes, and we will need a couple of scenes. Like first of all, let us first discuss what scenes will we need. Let us write it down somewhere so that it's easy to, you know check it and keep track of what we have made and what we have not. So far what is happening is that we have created a server. We have a game made in GDevelop 5, and we are going to be exchanging information between our game and our server. We have made the game, we have made our server also, right? We have programmed the server in PHP, right? And so we will be exchanging data between them, right? So that's what we have to do. Our server, as we saw, we checked it many times. It is receiving and sending data, so it's working. But our game is not yet doing that. Our game is not sending any data to any server or receiving any data from any server. So for to do that, we have to, today in this video we will do that. And so in our game we will have to make a few more scenes. First of all, we will have to make a login scene, and then a register scene, and then maybe password change scene, right? And we will also need to make a local leader board display scene and a global leader board display scene, and maybe an account deletion scene. And that's all, I guess. That's for now. We will have to make these scenes. So let's go back to our GDevelop, and first of all I would like to add one more variable in my global variables. I will add a variable called is logged in, which will be 0, which means that the player is not logged in by default, right? 0 means false. So that's good. And apply. And we have to add that same variable again in our data loader scene also, right? Is logged in 0. Apply. Let me check the space logged in. Yeah, cool. And let me open my data saver scene and data saver event. Actually, I have to look at that, and I also want to look at my data loader scene and then data loader events, because I have to add that variable also in my save file. So let me write it. So I will just simply copy this, find this last write statement. I'll copy it and I will simply paste it here, and I will bring it up before the close statement, and I will simply double click on it, and storage name is same, group is not profile picture, it will be is logged in, and which variable will be saved in that group, we will be saving the is logged in global variable. Is logged in, apply. That's what we will be saving in is logged in group. Click on OK. So we have saved our new variable also. I will close the save event. I will close the data saver and its events. And now I will go to load event, and here also I will have to do the same. Before closing the structured data, I will copy the read statement and paste it here and bring it before the close statement, and simply double click on it, and the group will be is logged in again, is logged in, and the scene variable will be is logged in. Wait, oh, I can select it from here. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's good. We have read our is logged in variable from the save file. Now we have to put that is logged in variable in our global variables also. So right at the end, I will just copy the final statement and paste it after it, and I will simply double click on it, and variable scene variable is logged in, and no, wait, not scene variable, this is a global variable, right? Yeah, correct, is logged in, set to variable is logged in, scene variable is logged in, right? So that's correct. Okay, so are we are successfully loading and saving that variable. I should have put that variable in the beginning only, but I did not know that we will need it. Now I think we will need it, so I have put it. We may need maybe some more variables, but hopefully not. And now I believe we will have to make a login scene, a registered scene. Let us make two scenes first of all, a login scene and a register scene. I will first make a login scene. So in scenes, click to add a new scene, add a new scene here. New scene has been added, and rename it to login. And I will go here, go in this scene, and basically I think we will need a layout, and that same layout can be used for several other scenes, right? So let's make a new layout. I guess that can be useful for these scenes, right? So I will make a new external layout. We don't have any, so it can be good practice to make one law networking scene layout. I mean this layout is for all the scenes that are using networking capabilities. I hope it will be useful. I will choose the login scene, and here I will just create a new object, a simple sprite, and I will just call it black screen. It is a black screen. I will put an animation. I will call it default, and then edit with Piskel. And so I will simply make a square, black color square, and paint it and save it and apply. And I will simply bring it here at the corner, and I will stretch it to cover the whole uh, you know view area, viewport. So that's good. And I'll take my back button also, and I will put it here. That's good. So this layout will be the same in all the networking scenes which are using networking capabilities. So now when I will save it, I uh, let me run this login scene and see if the layout is working here or not. I can see the two objects. Let me close it and open it again. Login scene. I will run it. Okay, so layout only gives me the objects and I have to arrange them myself. That kind of okay. I mean, back button is a global object anyway. So yeah, and in the login scene, I will add a text and I will call it login text. Size will be I think 60 or something. 60 is good, and this color, and I will type login bold and apply, and I will simply drag it here. So it's kind of small. I'll make it 100 size. Now it's good enough. Login. Now that's cool. Black screen. I will remove the black screen. You know why? Because, or let it be there. Let it be, or maybe just remove it. We don't need it. Or we will make our own black screen because using layouts is not proving to be very helpful. I will delete the layout as well because it's not proving to be very helpful at the moment for our what we want to do, right? I'll make a separate black screen because it's not very difficult to make anyway, and it will you know help us avoid some confusion, lots of confusion. So I will simply now stretch this box like that, and I will reduce its z order. Z order, I have put its Z order as 0. This one has a Z order of 3, so it is above, and this button has a Z order of 2, so it is above my black screen. I can also put a Z order of 1 in black screen and have it below all the other sprites, right? So that's good. It's 1 now, but it's still below because its Z order is less than the Z order of all other sprites. So yeah, let us now write some events. Basically, for login, first of all we will need some more text. I will just copy, I will duplicate this one, and I will call it username, and I will again duplicate it again, and I will call it password, and I will open username. It should not be 100, should be 60, and the text to display should be username, or you can say enter username. And in password the size should be again 60, and in the text to display you should write enter password. Apply, and you can drag them here, but first of all I also need a text input object, an object in which the user can enter some text. Let us create that, and I can see that I have this text entry object, invisible object used to get text entered with the keyboard. Okay, why is it invisible? We need actually lots of text objects of this type. Anyway, okay, uh, I will type it username text. Behaviors, not helpful. I'll just apply it, and if I drag it in here, okay, I can see this, but okay, now this has gotten a little bit difficult, but we have to do it anyway. I mean, text input object is invisible, so okay, never mind. I will simply, first of all, next thing which we have to do is add a button, and I will add a very simple login button, sprite. I will call it login button, and add animation. This animation is default, and edit 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 is the midpoint, and 16 of them are below, so I will just choose 2 above it, or 3, simply drag it like this. I hope it's in the center. Let's see. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. Yes, it's in the center. And so white color again, that looks good to me, and I will now increase the size. What is the height? 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. 8 is the height. I will resize it. That's looking good, and now I will maintain aspect ratio. I will resize it to width, maybe I think should be 512. Let me resize it and save it, and apply and drag it here. Yeah, it's big enough. Nice, nice and big. Okay, and I think I will add some animations also. Add an animation. I will call this animation hover. This is a hover animation, and first of all I will have to create a duplicate in order to get it in the hover. So let me edit with Pascal, add a new and duplicate simply, and this one, duplicate this frame, don't delete it, save it, then again edit, and this one again, and let's see if I have two of them. Login default. Yeah, I have two of them. uh, I will choose the old one and I will edit it with Pascal. I will just choose a dark light of white, a little bit darker, yeah, and I will paint it in a little more darker actually. Paint it in. That's good, and I will save it. And now I will add a button behavior to it, which we made. I mean the custom button behavior. Animation to be played when player hovers, which is number 1, and for rest of them is number 2. Apply. And now let me call the button event, I think every frame, I guess. Button extension, button simulate button function, which is on login button, and that's it. That's good. Okay, let me drag it in, and let me simply put this text also here. Login, kind of big, but uh, it's working. Not login. Okay, that's good. Or maybe I can simply duplicate it and call it login button text, and open it and reduce the size to 60, I guess, and then drag it here, and that looks better. That looks better. Yeah, let me run this scene just to test it out. So yeah, it's working. And hmm, hmm. I need first of all I got to put this username here, enter username and enter password here and here. And I believe I will need some white background, white screen behind for this, and I will make two of them actually. White is, I will just type it username white screen, add an animation, call it default, edit with Pascal, resize, and this time it should be color. And I will drag it here and simply make it big enough. And I will duplicate it and I will call it password screen. White screen for password. Yeah, that looks okay. And yes, okay. Little bit thicker would be better. That's yeah. Hmm. I will need two more text. Add an object text and call it username. Username data. The actual username is the player will enter. 60 size will be good. And text, it should be like empty, nothing should be here. Username data, you can drag it, but wait, don't keep it empty, just type enter username or something, enter username, and just drag it here and see how big it looks. It's kind of big. I will keep it at 40. Yeah, that's a little bit better. It should be in the middle a little bit. And same thing I will do for password also. Duplicate it and type password data and open it and type enter password. Right. And drag it to the password field. Yeah. Now, if the user touches this white screen, then they should be able to start writing on it. Right? That's what should happen ideally. I will put it at one corner actually. Yeah, that is little bit looks will work little bit better. In the login events, I will have to add a new event and add condition. That condition should be mouse and touch. I will simply not mouse and touch. It should be here in objects in mouse and touch. The cursor slash touch is on an object, and our object is username white screen. And if the mouse button is released, the mouse button released function works in both touch screen devices as well as PC. So you don't have to again add a function for detecting touch, because the mouse button, especially the left mouse button, works like a touch when you are running this program in your touch device. You don't have to run the separately run this a touch as ended. You can simply run mouse button release and it will work both on touch devices and on PC. So when this to happen, I will now have to activate the text entry object, and I think text entry object should be, yeah, there it is, set up deactivate slash activate capturing text input username activate, yes. Now when I will touch on that white screen, this will activate a you know touch, I mean a text entry. So I don't know how this works. Let me see what is happening when I am doing that. Well, nothing seems to be happening. But again, okay, you will see that later. uh, how do I transfer the content of this text to my variable or to my username text object? So in text entry, text in memory, username text, modify text in memory of the object. Why will I do that? Okay, if text object, modify the text, username data equal to, can I have a text entry? I can. Text entered with keyboard, username text. Oh yeah, that should work. And I will cut this and paste it here so that it works every frame. Let me now see what will happen. So yeah, I am typing with my keyboard, typing with keyboard, and it is working here. So that's working, and that's good. And nice. Okay. Okay. Hmm. Now let's do the same for the password. Yeah, let's do it. Okay. I will add another text entry object. I will simply duplicate it and type the name password text and simply drag it here. I think I will drag it here just to just for my own, you know, understanding that this is for username and this is for username, this is for password. So that should be good. Okay, let's do the same for password and see how it works. And simply I think I will copy this and paste it right here, and I will simply change the username widescreen to password widescreen. Password widescreen, there it is. And username text to password text, and here I will simply copy this and paste it, and I will simply double click on it, and instead of username data I will type password data, and instead of username text string I will choose password text string. Text entry object, text entered with keyboard, text entered with keyboard, and password text. Apply. OK. That's cool. Let's now test it and see if it works. So both of them are getting activated. I mean, I'm typing, but both of them are receiving the same. But I don't know why that is happening. Password data, username text, password text. Yeah, I think whatever I am typing, both are getting activated at the same time. So that's not good. The thing is that I need two variables to keep track of whether one text entry object is active or not. Let's make two variables. Edit scene variables. I will create one variable. I will call it username text entry object active. By default it is 0, and add another username text entry object active, not username, password text entry object active. Password text entry object active 0, apply. So now by default these objects should be inactive, and let me see if there is any other property. No. Okay, fine. At the beginning of the scene I will add an event. I will push it all the way to the top, and scene at the beginning of the scene. At the beginning of the scene, I will deactivate these two objects. Mm, text entry deactivate. Username text no, and again for the password text entry object deactivate password text at the beginning. And so now I should not be able to type anything. Oh, if, right, without clicking on my white screens. So let's test. Yeah. So as you could see, now we are not able to type anything if we don't explicitly click on our white box in which we want to type something, right? And when will we click out of it? That's also important. If our mouse clicks anywhere else, right, which is not this box, then we should deactivate our username text entry object. We should deactivate both of them, username text entry object as well as password text entry object, if we click anywhere which is not these boxes. But we'll have to do it separately for each one. So let me add a new event and drag it down, and in this I will simply copy this. Left mouse button was released, copy and paste it, and our cursor touch was not on this. Add a condition, right? Condition should be cursor slash touch, username widescreen activate accurate. Yeah, I will have to invert condition. When this happens, this will be deactivated, and I don't know what else will happen. This should be 100% deactivated. I will copy this simply and paste it, and I will double click on it, and on activate I will choose no, don't activate it, deactivate it. I will simply copy this event, copy and paste it, and here I will just type password white screen, and here I will simply type password text, and now it should work. Let's see, let's test it. So it's working. Yeah. Okay. uh, First of all, we should have this functionality of entering text in a box by default, but we don't. Therefore we had to implement it on our own, which is okay, we can do that, not that big of a deal. uh, but it's kind of difficult to implement these, because this is kind of a basic functionality. And now I think I will do something more. I will highlight the box which is active, because that may be important. So to highlight it, I will simply add another animation to my box, and let me do that. Username white screen, I will add, first of all I will have to wait, its size is not proper. hmm. uh, do we need a blinking cursor? No, we can simply make this a little arrow, that's what we need. I will add a new object. I will click on sprite. I will call it arrow simply. Add an animation default and add some arrows. We are not going to be editing this, So we can use previous sprites also. Edit, add. I think I will add this arrow and apply, and yeah, that's kind of big, kind of. It's big. It's too big. I don't want that. I will I will see if I have some other arrow. Uh, yeah, I have this one, but it's also very big. I think I will create one. So that is good. By default, the arrow, our arrow, I will make two arrows actually. This will be the username arrow, and there will be another which will be the password arrow. Duplicate password arrow. So that's good, and I will drag the password arrow to my password, and by default their opacity will be 0, right? And let me do that. In the at the beginning of the scene, their opacity will be 0. Sprite visibility opacity for my username arrow should be equal to 0, and for my password arrow the opacity should be equal to 0 as well. Yeah, but when I activate my text, then the opacity should again be 255, but only of that arrow which is next to the text which I activate, right? Let me choose this action: visibility, change opacity. Username opacity is equal to 255, which is the maximum opacity. I'll simply copy this statement and paste it here, paste it here also, paste it here also. And on deactivation, we will simply change the opacity back to 0 here also. And in this, I will simply type password arrow, select it. So that should work. Let's see. Let's test it out. Yeah, it's not going away. It's not, showing me the other one. Username arrow, password arrow. Hmm. It should work. I don't know why it's not working, but let's see. I will see that. So you can see that I have put here username arrow set to 0, opacity. Opacity for username arrow is set to 0 here, while I should have typed opacity of password arrow set to 0. Change the opacity of password arrow set to 0. And that's looking good. Let's test it again. Yeah, now it's working. So that's working. And now let us store the value typed in our field in a global variable. So every frame we should do something. Value of a global variable is username is equal to, and the value should be from the text entry object. Wait, where is, I don't have a text entry object here. So I think I will have to take the value of a text object. Rotation, opacity, style, scale. I cannot take the value of a text. Let me see if I can change the string of a global variable with the text entry object. Yeah, I can. Text entered with keyboard. Username text. So that's good. Don't change the value, change the string of a global variable, because I think for value they are considering that it will be a number and not a string. So we should choose the string. Choose to change the string of a global variable. So that's good, and let me copy that. Not don't copy it. I will do it again. Variables, global variables, string of a global variable, and the string is password is equal to, and from ABC we will just see text entry object, text enter with keyboard, text enter with keyboard, and password text apply. Okay, that will now store our username and password, whatever we'll type inside our global variable username and password. And now let me do one more thing, and that is add a condition and drag it here at the bottom, and add let me see if button pressed, which button was pressed, login. And so I think this was not working. Let me see the implementation. Let me see the implementation of it. It was kind of not working. Button pressed function. Okay, back button. I think it was not working, but let's see. If button was pressed, then then we will send a request to our server. So let's see how to do that. Uh, Network, send a request to a web page. Okay, we have lots of things here. You must enter a text between quotes or a valid host with protocol. I will type https toolhunter.downtown.herokuapp.com/login.php. So that's what our host is. Oh, it's just asking for the host here. Okay, and path will be uh, slash login.php, login.php, host, content type, request body content. Okay, what should it be? Let me. What kind of content do they want? Let me cancel it and do it again just to see their hints. I think I will have to type username and then I don't know man, global variable username plus. Is that how you can append it? I guess. Okay, that's kind of too much to process right now. Uh, First of all, we will need. I think we will need a new scene, just to send the request. So let me create a new scene and call it, rename it to login login request login request. And I will open it and I will need a black screen here to black screen, add an animation, default, and edit with Pascal, resize it for easy editing first of all to 32 cross 32. And now let me go to gdevelop forums or wiki and gdevelop send request to server. Yeah. They have told me how to format the request. You can send data from variable, but this is for get request. For post request, it depends on what is expected by the server, but most of the time server expects JSON formatted. You can either construct it yourself. What's this? To allow the keyword to be used inside a text. Okay, whatever. uh, yeah. From the login event, when the button is pressed, I will simply change the scene to login request scene. Let me change it. Let me see if the button is working or not. Um, Pause and start a new scene. Login request scene. Okay. Let me test this first. It's not. So I will have to change the actually this. Delete this and copy these two. Shift select and copy and paste it. And instead of username white screen, I will type the login button. That's good. That should work. Yeah, that's working. And in the login request, we will send the request. So that will be easier to do. And without any condition, just add action and network. Send a request to a web page. Host with protocol. Toolhunter downtown dot herokuapp.com slash not slash. Here I will type the path slash. Oh well, I will have to cancel it just to see the hint again. Yeah, okay. Slash login.php. Request body content. Method is post. I think I'll make a new scene variable. I will call it what is returned actually. Uh, JSON response from server. By default, it should be nothing, just like that. Apply, and I will just select this. And now request body content. I think I will simply add like this username plus and global variable. Global variable is username, I guess, plus password plus global variable string, and I think that was password itself. But I think I have to look it up a little bit just to see how properly I can. I will just see post request uh, post request body content format. What is the format in which it sends it receives the request? Oh, it puts a and in between two fields. This and, I guess. Let me put that and here. Plus and username is this, and I guess it, they use equal to sign, equal to, and password equal to. Yeah, yeah. That should work. I don't know. Let's try. Username is equal to this, and password is equal to this, and post and content type is this. Application slash xww form URL encoded. Okay, cool. In login request, I have the variable and I will choose it to do at the beginning of the scene, not all the time. So that's good. I will have the content of the variable. I will need a text display just to display those contents. A JSON data from server. 20 color should be white so that I can see it on a black background. JSON data, and I will simply put it here. Yeah, maybe here is better. Yeah, that it is better. And here when I will receive this, when this statement has run, I will add another action, and I will simply JSON. Let me type JSON. Convert JSON to a scene variable. No, let's not do that. Every frame I just want to see the JSON right now and not change it to different values, and I will choose my text object, modify the text, JSON data from server, and for the value I will choose the scene variable, JSON response from server, and that should be good. And yeah, let's run this and see if we get some response from our server. But before that, yeah, let's do that. Maybe we won't get it first time because Heroku is kind of slow, especially the free versions. So we may not get it first time, but we will definitely get it second time, hopefully. Oh yeah, we received a response, success through message, connection succeeded. So we were able to log in and we received the response also. Cool. But it's only connection succeeded. We did not supply them with any username or password. So let's do that now. And let's do that. I will use figure 1. Figure 1 was bunny password. Yeah, user verified. Earlier we got the string connection succeeded, which means that we connected to the server, but now we got user verified, which means that we entered the correct username and password. So that's cool. Our server was working before also, but now we have successfully verified that our uh, game is able to send the data to the server using this request. And so that's okay, that's good, I guess. So I think that's it for this video. In the next video we will make some other scenes and send some more data to the server, and we will also format the JSON data and extract different fields from the JSON data and try to display it in our game. So if you are enjoying this stream, please join me in the next video as well. Thank you for watching.